This is Ready, Set, Reiki, a podcast about Reiki, the universal energy life force. From the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey, we refer to ourselves as guides rather than hosts, as we too are traveling, supporting each other, and learning on this Reiki journey as well. And with that said, I am your first guide, Tracy C. Wright.
And I'm your second guide, Millie Pampina.
And today on our journey, what a wonderful treat we have. We have Letty Salas. She has 28 years of experience in the field of education. She has worn many hats in her wonderful journey, from teacher to assistant principal, principal to family engagement coordinator, and director of elementary education. Throughout her year, she is deeply committed to fostering an environment where both students and educators can thrive. However, her journey just didn't stop there. Upon retiring in the field of education 5 years ago, she felt called to continue serving others in a different capacity. Drawing upon her passion for personal development and holistic wellness, she became a certified law of attraction life coach and certified clinical EFT practitioner. She dedicates her time to empowering individuals to unlock their full potential and lives of purpose and abundance. She offers workshops, EFT tapping circles, and various community settings. She continues to work closely with school communities, helping parents, teachers, and educational departments, providing the tools and strategies to cultivate resilience, foster positive relationships, and create nourishing and nurturing learning work environments. She offers EFT tapping circles in various venues in the city, within El Paso, Texas, online, and provides a supportive space for individuals to let go of these limiting beliefs and empowering their lives to their best self in all areas. So welcome, Letty, to Ready, Set, Reiki.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I'm excited to be here today.
Wonderful. So as we are continuing our journey here with Letty, I just wanted to kind of tell our listeners, it is interesting enough with EFT tapping. What is this? This is emotional freedom technique. Now you may wonder, hey, this is a Reiki podcast. What is this about? Well, do not let this name fool you, because Reiki and EFT are both very similar. In what ways, you ask? Well, they are both healing techniques. They help reduce stress. So they are stress reducing modalities, and both activate the natural healing process of the person. So they are both working to shift the energy. So just as a Reiki practitioner or someone who is out there working with Reiki, as you're placing hands on yourself, that is what you're doing with that EFT tapping. You are bringing this disordered energy back into balance and shifting your energy through tapping. So you're helping bringing balance to that energy system. So that is a little bit of explanation why Letty is on Ready, Set, Reiki. So let's begin our journey with her so you can find out just one more wonderful thing to add to this wonderful journey. So as we begin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Tracy, that was just such a wonderful explanation of how it, complements each other. It's what a wonderful explanation. So just a little bit about me. As Tracy said in the bio, I was in education for 28 years and did many different things within the career. And then as I was getting ready to retire, I knew that I wanted to continue to serve the community. And so started looking into, what I could do. And that's when I got certified as a law of attraction life coach. And then I started to learn about EFT. And just recently, about a year ago, I got certified as a clinical EFT practitioner, and just truly, truly passionate about energy work. And so here I am working with a community and helping people see the power of healing themselves through somatic movement and different techniques that we have.
Beautiful, beautiful. And also what I didn't get to share in your bio is that you have a role of being a mother of a wonderful 23-year-old son. And you also, on weekends, we can find you exploring farmers market and road trips with the endless possibilities. So you are always continuing the journey, aren't you?
Always, always. Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. So as we continue on our journey, so when did EFT come into your life, and did you find it or did it find you?
I think it found me, truly, because so I was in my last few years of being a principal, and I was just really, really stressed out. I was just, sick. I got really sick towards the last few years. And, when they say I was leading on empty, I truly was leading on empty. I was completely empty as a principal. I gave and I gave and I gave, and I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't filling my cup. And so I used to frequent this shop, this wellness shop, and I would used to go there for energy work. And this lady introduced me to EFT. And she said, would you be okay if I did EFT with you, tapping? And I said, I would love it. And right then and there, I just felt my body calm down, right away. And then, but I didn't feel really the relief until the following day. The following day, I woke up and I felt like I had a new lease in my life. It just felt fantastic. I felt just free. I felt my shoulders, weren't as tight. It just was wonderful. And that started my journey. And I was like, what the heck is this? And so I started researching it because I didn't know anything about it. And that's how I started really and truly some of the energy work.
Beautiful, beautiful. So it really, in a sense, helped you balance your energy.
It totally and completely did. Yes.
Wonderful,
Mhm.
wonderful. And that's another similarity to EFT tapping and Reiki is it's cumulative. It may not be right away. So it may
Yes.
take one more session. It may have that reaction or that feeling the next day of like, oh, it's actually working. I feel something. So it's not that just, getting off the chair or getting off the table and having instant results. So
Mhm.
it's
Yes.
wonderful,
And yeah, and
wonderful.
sometimes it does happen that way and sometimes it doesn't, right? It just depends on where we are in life and how much more we need to do in that particular area. And sometimes you don't even see it right away. It's, sometimes you'll have a situation happen and you'll react differently and you're like, "Hey, wait a minute. I didn't used to react this way." So you may not even see results until much, much later. So yes, absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. Just shifting that energy and releasing negative energy.
Yep,
Yes, wonderful,
absolutely.
wonderful. So, as you are continuing your journey, what are some of the common misperceptions about your work?
I think that people think that EFT tapping is really just about stress relief or anxiety relief. But really, in reality, it's so much more than that. It's really about, clearing limiting beliefs. It's about phobias, cravings, pain reduction, so much more because we hold so much in our brain, and so EFT helps to release the negativity, and so to allow us to move into safety. So it's not just it. Yes, it's a stress reliever. It's helps with anxiety, but it's really a tool to help with so much more than just that.
Absolutely. Like even for goal setting, right? Inner child work, you name it. And you can incorporate this into your life, right? Giving
Absolutely.
it a few minutes a day.
Yes, completely.
Okay, wonderful. So, what has been the biggest challenge you have faced in your profession?
I think the biggest thing is that people don't know what it is. And people think, well, how can just me tapping, right? Because it does look a little weird, right? As people are tapping, and especially when we're tapping on the top of the head and what under the arm, people think that's so weird. How's that going to help me? And so people don't know what it's actually doing. They don't know how it works. And they're hesitant to try it, right? Because it looks a little bit funny. It looks a little bit weird. And then I think it's the hurriedness of things that people don't want to stop. Let's stop for a moment. Let's feel what we're feeling. Because with EFT, with tapping, you have to actually feel what you're feeling. It's a way to process emotions. And people don't want to do that. They don't have the courage, really, if you think about it, to be able to do that, to say, hey, wait a minute. I'm feeling a little funky right now. I'm not feeling well. but they don't have the courage to say, I'm not well, I'm not feeling, I'm not feeling my best. And so I think it's the people are just even afraid to even, go there. And so those are some of the challenges I think that we face, and just making time for it. And it even doesn't really even take that long, right? It's just a couple of minutes and you'll feel instantly better. So yeah, so those are some of the challenges.
Right. It's probably you could probably condense the time into how long it takes you to brush your teeth. You could probably work that in. So get up in the morning, brush your teeth. I tell my students, brush your teeth, do your Reiki, do your tapping. And what's
Absolutely.
interesting, yeah, what's interesting is when I remember when I was in high school, my mother went back to college to get her nursing degree. And I recall in her studies that she had shared with me even then that how important touch is, touch, that physical touch. So, look in the medical industry, that touch that person. And that's how I, plant the seeds for, oh my goodness, with Reiki, with tapping. So it's so important to give that kind of touch to yourself, to others. And I don't think people realize that how important it is to ground.
And and if you think about it, when we're stressed or when we're going through something, what do people do? They hold their
Mhm.
forehead or they hold their chest, and those are somewhere that our tapping points are. And without even knowing, people are doing it. They're calming themselves down by touching those areas, and it's the tapping points. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what is something that you wish your younger self knew about your current profession?
I wish I knew tapping. I wish I knew about the power of energy work. I think, and I think about in my next life, I don't want to be, in my 40s when I find out about energy work. I want to know from the moment I'm born. I want to know about energy work. And so, I think about that because I think if we knew about energy work and we knew the power that we have to manage our own energy, the our body knows exactly what to do to heal. We just need to give it, the right direction, the right things, the right tools in order to heal, right? Because we've forgotten that. And I wish that my younger self, right? And if I had to do it all over again, I wish that I knew it. I think that this tool is just such a wonderful tool. I think it would have alleviated a lot of, because I'm a perfectionist, I'm a control person, right? And it would have totally and completely changed a lot of the heartaches, right? Because me wanting to make everything perfect, it truly would have helped me make life a lot easier and really a lot more enjoyable. And I think that, if I could tell my younger self that, I would just say, hey, you're going to thoroughly enjoy this journey. Just hold on and enjoy the ride. Yes.
Well, wonderful. So, as a certified law of attraction life coach and a certified clinical EFT practitioner, when it is time for you to get your energetic tune up, what do you look for in a practitioner?
So I actually, because healers need healing as well. And so I actually look for people that I resonate with. I look to see, are they really genuine? Are they authentic in, in what they believe, in what they're doing? I just recently, went through I bought 10 sessions through for EFT with a practitioner that I really resonated with. I saw her in a professional development that I participated in, and I just really resonated with her. And there were just some things that I still wanted to work through regarding my childhood. But I resonated with her so much. And the work that we did within those 10 weeks, because I was tapping with her once a week, it was just amazing, amazing. And my perspectives have changed. My energy has changed. I could tell just the shifts that I've had. And so I always look for people that I resonate with, people that are authentic, people that genuinely care about me and about society, about community as a whole. Because I think that if they're doing it for money or the wrong reasons, then you're not going to resonate with people. But it's about people helping other people, right? And in this case, a healer was helping another healer. And I just absolutely love the work that I did with her.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's just amazing when you connect with people in your journey, how you help each other out along the way. So sometimes you're not walking the journey alone. You have someone there to help with you in that small season or maybe even longer. So that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
You connected with her. So what advice would you give to someone who is just entering this profession? They are listening to this. Wow, EFT, they're researching it. What advice would you give to them?
So I'm fairly new in this journey. So
You know what? Everyone's a teacher. It doesn't matter. We learn from everyone. We learn from
yeah.
everyone. So, beginning your journey, you are a little bit ahead of someone who is just hearing this for the first time today. So, you have
Yes,
that inner teacher in you.
you're absolutely right. And I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is just, patience. Well, first and foremost, I knew tapping, I knew it was I knew the tool, I knew how wonderful it worked, but I really wanted to learn a little bit more. So for me, it was about getting the certification. Even though I did do tapping in my workshops and things like that, it was really learning the tool a little bit more. So it was the certification, and I really enjoyed the process of getting certified. But more than that, even just the journey of patience, of enjoying the journey, right? Because I think we always, I'm thinking about, okay, 5 years from now, where is it that I want to be, or 3 years, or even a year from now. But it's just really about enjoying the today and watching the miracles of doors opening up, right? And it's the how is this going to happen, right? Setting the intention, and you have absolutely no idea how it's going to happen. And then it happens. And just stopping and enjoying the wow, it came this way. It came, and just being fascinated by the journey and just being patient with every step, right? We don't have to know exactly where the outcome's going to be. We don't have to know exactly um, where the end result is. It's just about right here, right now, and just expecting that the right things will show up at the right place at the right time. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. And for our Reiki listeners, in Reiki, we have our Reiki principles of just for today, which you
Oh, I love
mentioned. So
that.
there's another similarity there. And things of like, don't worry today, I'll be kind. So he has 5 principles that he brings in. So you spoke of it. So this is another similarity. And also you talked about intention, which is also very important in Reiki as well. It's that intention we're putting out. That is the fuel to which drives the Reiki. So there
I
you go.
love it.
More in common than you thought, right? Wonderful, wonderful. So, on your journey, I am sure as an educator, I could already tell, as a fellow elementary teacher, when you talked about what's it going to look like 5 years down the road, because, we're planners, right? I'm sure you have picked up some books along the way. So, what books do you recommend?
So, I mean, I'm a reader. I'm a bit of a geek, and I love to read. Like you'll find me reading all the time. But I think two books that I highly recommend. The first one is Tapping into Ultimate Success by Jack Canfield and Pamela Bruner. And that book is all about tapping. It explains what tapping is. It explains different tapping techniques. It gives you scripts, and it's really about just living a thriving life, right? We think about success and whatever that means to each person, and it's just really a great book. It's a great tool. I use it all the time, and in fact, I have it tabbed. The teacher in me, right? Because depending on what I need, I have it tabbed, and so it's a great book. Another book I highly recommend is Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And that book is all about energy. And I think if you read this book, you really have to have an open mind. Now, he really goes into the research. He really goes into talking about they've really researched, energy, your electromagnetic signature, all that stuff, and just the connection of the brain, the energy, the heart, how it all connects. And that book was such a big shift for me because it showed the science and the research behind it, which I think a lot of people need, because I think when they listen to us, they think, oh, that's such woo woo. That's such woo woo, and they don't think that it's real. But Dr. Joe Dispenza, I love that there's research behind it. And I love the book because it just really, he gives really good explanation, but also the science and the research behind it. So those are, I think, are the very top two that I would highly recommend.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that with our listeners. So this comes to the next question. What other modalities do you offer?
So in my coaching, I do a lot of different things. So I do workshops at the schools, parent workshops. The last 2 years, I was working with teachers, and I would go in, and they would come in during their conference period, and they would come in, and we would tap and help relieve some of that stress. I have also worked with educational departments, and one department was wanting to build a better communication system, so I worked with them throughout the year. Another department just really wanted to just kind of de-stress, and so I worked with that. So I do a lot of stuff at the schools. I do online, tapping circles, and that's just, I have a theme, and we work on that theme, whatever that theme is. I also offer popcorn tapping, which is 4 people, and we pick a theme. So, like, for example, let's say we're working on abundance, and each person gets 15 minutes of one-on-one with me, but the other people are doing tapping along as well, and they get borrowed benefits from that as well. And so, that's just such a wonderful tool. And then, of course, the ultimate, I think, if you really want to create change, is one-on-one. And because you could go to workshops and things like that, but if you really want to make change happen, you really need to get to the nitty-gritty of your own stuff that's happening. And you never know what subconsciously what we're dealing with or what you're struggling with until we start actually tapping. And so those are some of the things that I offer. The workshops are, me teaching things, and then I do incorporate tapping into it, but I incorporate tapping into everything that I do.
Wonderful, wonderful. So where can we find you? How can we get in touch with you?
So I made it super easy for everybody. And I just changed all my names because people are like, okay, what's her name? And so really easy, Letty The Tapping Lady. So, because they'll be like, oh yeah, Letty, oh yeah, The Tapping Lady. So I changed so I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on TikTok and YouTube, but I'm not very active on YouTube. So really, mostly you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and it's Letty The Tapping Lady.
Good, very good hook. That's what my kids keep saying. You got to have a hook. You got to have a hook. So very good. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, thank you, Letty, so much. This ends our part of our journey together. And I'm going to pass you over to my co-guide, Millie Pampina, who has 3 social media questions just for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you, Letty. It's a real pleasure to see you again. And for our audience, I've been very fortunate to participate in some of Letty's tapping session, and she does it. She did a beautiful event on Feather Sister Wellness, and it was just such a pleasure to learn that and to do that. And I'm looking forward to more. So, Letty, I have 3 questions, as Tracy said, from our listening audience, and I would like to, present those to you. The first one is, can tapping help me release my fears?
Yes, and that's actually what it's designed to do. Our brain holds on to trauma. Our brain holds on to fear, or things that we've experienced, some trauma, because it's an effort to keep us safe, and so that it reminds us of things that are not safe for us. So it holds on to that in an effort to keep us safe, to protect us. And so what happens then, our brain holds on to that, and we're not able to move forward. And so with tapping, every time that we tap, and we tap in certain points in our face and our body and the top of our head, we're creating an electromagnetic signature, or I'm sorry, piezoelectric charge. So an electric charge. And that charge is actually sending a calming signal to the body, then tells the brain, hey, we're safe. It's okay to let this go. So then we're able to move past the fear. And there's research now that's actually showing that it's actually changing the brain chemistry. So we already know that there's a lot of biochemical changes that are happening with tapping. We're changing our body actually, but now what studies are showing that we're actually changing the brain. We're actually changing the neural pathways, and we're decreasing that fear, and then increasing new pathways, new ways of looking at certain situations. So absolutely, it helps with fear.
Thank you so much. I do know that, and I can tell you it is relaxing. For me, it was a relaxing experience. And I still find myself sometimes just stuck.
That's so great.
Open up. I'm knocking, open up.
Oh, that's so great.
I do, and I look forward to some of joining some of these sessions that you said you had, the group and the popcorn tapping and things. That sounds amazing. So the second one we have is, what has been the most rewarding part of your healing journey?
I think if I'm talking about my own personal journey, I think, the last year that I was principal, as I mentioned before, I was just really, really sick. Like, just I was running on fumes, leading on empty, just extremely, extremely sick. And there was just, if I could explain it, it was like the perfect storm. There were just so many things that were happening again because my energy wasn't right. And I remember praying and saying, I just want to be made new. I want to be made new. And lo and behold, teachers showed up for me to be able to be made new. And so, healers showed up, people that I didn't even, know that could, come up and show up. And I think one of the very first people that showed up for me was a chiropractor, and she was holistic. And she taught me how to eat. And, she said, it's not about getting rid of whatever ailment you have. She said it's about boosting your immune system so that your immune system can fight anything that you might be sick with, right? Whether it's the flu or whatever. And she said, so we want to be able to do that. And she was the first person that showed up for me. And, and then the tapping and just along the journey. And I'm just so blessed to have had such wonderful healers that showed up for me. And again, right, they say that when the student is ready, the teachers will show up. And that's exactly what happened with me. And it has been such a blessing. I think me being in that state, right? They say you have to hit rock bottom before you can get better. I think that's where I was. And I knew that I had to do that. And actually working with those healers allowed me the opportunity to make changes, not just in, my eating and my energy, things like that, but I actually left the principal position and took a different position. And I took a huge pay cut, but I was so okay with it because it was my peace of mind and it was my own journey. And I don't think if I had not had those healers, that I would not have had the courage to do that. So, and if I can do that, anybody can do that. And I was a single mom, so it was scary for me. At that time, I think my son was, he must have been like, 11, 12. And so, yes, absolutely.
All right. So, Letty, what has been the most rewarding part of your healing journey?
Okay. And so I was sharing that my healing journey has been absolutely just wonderful. I think that one of the first things that happened was healers showed up for me. And one of the first healing people that showed up for me was a holistic chiropractor. And the very first thing that she did was she showed me how to eat because I was just not eating well at all. And when we talk about, holistic and we wanting to ensure that we are healthy, we look at all the things, right? Body, mind, and spirit. And I set the intention that I wanted to be a brand new person. I wanted to be made new because I was in such a place. I was so stuck. And so I wanted to ensure that I wanted to make myself new. And we hear all the time that when when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. And that's exactly what happened to me. I had many, many different healers show up for me in many different aspects, not just the eating, right, but also the mental and the spiritual. And it actually gave me the courage, as I was a principal that very last year, it actually gave me the courage working with his healers to allow myself to make the decision to take a different position because I could no longer carry myself being a principal. And I took a position that was a much pay cut, a decrease in my salary, and I was able to do that. And I think it was through the help of the healers. And I was a single mom, so that was a very scary decision for me, but haven't regretted since. And it has been such a wonderful journey.
And how often and how long do you recommend that someone does a tapping session to achieve their goals?
And I think it just depends on what you're working with and what emotions are tied to that. People have seen breakthroughs with just one session of tapping. And, I think it just depends on what you're carrying from a particular situation that you're wanting to heal. So again, like I said, some people heal right away with one session. And sometimes what happens is it's a layer, right? It's like we've heard it said, right? It's like an onion. And so there's different layers of the onion. And so you peel back one layer and then you realize, oh, there's something more that I need to work on this particular issue. And then you work on that. And then there's a little bit more that you need to work on. And it's described in during the EFT universe when I was getting certified. It's described as like a tabletop. And so let's say that you want to work on anxiety. Well, that's the tabletop, okay? And so anxiety is your tabletop. But there are many table legs that are making that anxiety stand up. So there were different events and different situations that happened in your life that are holding this tabletop together. So what happens in tapping, you start to work on each of those the table legs. And as you start to work on the table legs, what happens is then the tabletop becomes wobbly to the point that now you no longer have that anymore because you've worked so much on the table legs that you don't have that anxiety anymore. So, it just depends on the situation. It depends on the person. I can tell you that one session feels fantastic. One tapping circle just feels fantastic. It just makes you feel very relaxed. And sometimes what happens, like I tap every single day. And sometimes what happens, even just one round of tapping creates change in your body. You create a shift in your body. And even if you don't have the right words to say, as long as you're tapping and you do one round, you've already created change in your body. So it really, it just really depends on the person and it depends on what you're dealing with. But I would say, just even do one round. If you're not going to do, the whole, big rounds, or you're not going to go do a one-on-one or a tapping circle, just do a round of tapping. Just do one round. You can even do just a tap and breathe. And that helps you do some in the morning and then do another one in the afternoon, another one in the evening. Right before you go to bed, I think it's just a great time to tap so that you can relax your body and feel in a lot calmer state and just have better sleep at night.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's some words to live by there. Okay, well, and thank you so much for everything. Right now, that's the end of our questions from social media. But what I'd like to ask you is, while you've been talking and sharing your beautiful information with us, is there anything else you would like to add? Anything you might have forgotten, would like to embellish, anything about yourself, or anything you'd like to still add to for our listening audience?
I think one of the important things that I really would like to stress is that, tapping, yes, may look a little weird. And, people think, oh, this isn't going to help. And I think the most important thing, I think, if you're going to take anything away, is just give it a try, right? You never know. You never know. I had a lady, I went and did a workshop, and, I showed them all what they were going to do. And she came back and she said, I was telling my husband about it, and he did it. And he said, oh, I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything. And I said, but even if he didn't feel anything, he created change, and he created shift in his body and his energy. And even if he didn't feel anything, he actually did create some change. And so, if nothing else, just, do the process, do the tapping. And I think that you will find that, with time, that you have created not just change in your body, but change in perspective. And so just try it. I think, that's my message, I think, is just give it a try, give it a shot, and let's see what happens.
Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate that. And right now, I'd like to thank you for joining us, Letty. It's always a pleasure. And I'd like to also offer my tagline that I use to end this part of our discussion, which is to see beauty in all things as a choice. Please choose wisely. And I am Millie Pampina, your co-guide on this journey with Ready, Set, Reiki. And now I'm going to turn this back over to our other co-guide, Tracy Seawright. Thank you.
Thank you, Millie. And thank you, Letty. It has been a wonderful journey learning about EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. And as I was listening to what you were saying, again, bringing in how Reiki and EFT are so similar is trusting the process. And that is what we do in Reiki as well. We trust the process to help create change and change perspective. So see, very close, walking along on the journey together, right? Here we go. All right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning into this episode and just expanding, some knowledge here and getting some information about EFT tapping. And check her out on TikTok. And she's raising the frequency here in the 915, right, in El Paso, Texas. And if our listeners are ever interested in having their question featured on our show, just reach out to us at www.readysetreiki.com and social media. Maybe one of your questions will be featured on our show. Also, check us out at Feather Sister Wellness, a platform where we have yoga, we have meditation, Reiki trainings, and we actually had tapping on as well. So check it out. We have a wonderful selection of online classes. And if you are in El Paso, I do the yoga and the Reiki here in person as well. So thank you so much for joining us on this journey. My name is Tracy Seawright, and this has been Ready, Set, Reiki.